Hey, welcome to Shimmer Blast. In this video, I'll show you how to make some awesome terracotta soldier armor with your Cricut. First, jump into your Cricut design space. If you don't have the grids on, I'd recommend turning them on in the settings. Then go and grab a square out of your shape menu. Unlock it. We're going to make a 2" by 3" rectangle. I like to push it right up to the top of the screen so I know for sure I've got a 3" length there. Then you're going to copy and paste it. Make your second rectangle a little bit smaller. Shape it till you have just a small gap around the edges, and then slice it. Delete all of your extra layers. So now you have a U-shaped rectangle that doesn't have a top to it. Copy and paste 5 of these. We're going to be cutting this out on a 12 by 24 mat, and you got to account for the 1/2 inch clearance that Cricut makes sure your design has. So after you get all 5 copied and pasted, then go ahead and group them all together. So that they stick together and it's easier to move these around. So copy and paste again 2 more times with that 5 link group. And side to side, I'm spacing them about 1/3 inch from the bottom of one rectangle to the bottom of the next rectangle. It's about 1/2 inch. Then you're going to group that set of 3. And then copy and paste those. Shift them down until they're about 1/2 inch from the top set. Okay, and then group all of those to each other so that you'll be able to easily turn them off with the little eyeball icon on the side. So go ahead and group those again so that you have one massive group. That way you can turn it off with the eyeball and you have the entire group invisible, and then turn it back on. So now we're going to create our second center rectangle that will be drawn by the Cricut. So we create another rectangle, an unlocked square, and I just kind of eyeballed exactly where I wanted it so it looked good here. Turn off your group of rectangles to be cut. Then create another rectangle that fits within one of your cut rectangles. Only this time you're not going to cut the entire top off. You're just going to make a second rectangle. So copy and paste, and then just shrink the second rectangle. And once it's shrunk just a little, go to your line and center them so that they're right in the center, and then Control copy both of them, slice it, delete your extra layers, And then go change the line type, change it to draw, and then it will automatically change it from a solid rectangle to 2 rectangles. Then you'll line that up with your rectangles that are going to be cut. And then copy and paste it 5 times after you've turned off the rectangles that will be cut. Then turn it back on so you can line up each of your rectangles that'll be drawn and get them centered fairly close in the center. Big thing for me is to make sure that the top of the drawn rectangle kind of lines up at the top of the cut rectangle that's an open box. And you leave it open so that Cricut doesn't cut that out, and that becomes your little flaps for your terracotta armor. Now you're going to group all 5 of these drawn rectangles after you've turned off your cut rectangles. And then you're going to copy and paste 3 layers. Turn back on your cut rectangles. And line them up so that they are pretty close into the middle. This doesn't have to be perfect. It looks pretty good. And we're going to turn back off the cut rectangles. Group the drawn rectangles to each other. And copy and paste this set of 15 drawn rectangles. Get them lined up. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Look over it, everything's looking pretty good. So now we're going to weld the 2 different groups. We're not going to weld the cut ones to the drawn ones, we're gonna weld the drawn ones to each other and weld the cut ones to each other. So select them all, select all the groups, weld it. Cricut won't mix them all up when you go to cut it. They'll stay right there on your mat in the exact place you've placed them. So now you have 2 images. It's time to take it over to the Make It tab. So go to Make It, and Cricut's going to automatically put both the draw and the cut right up against the edge. So you're going to move the drawn so that your cut doesn't cut out your drawn rectangles. Then go ahead and send it to your Cricut. Have a 24 by 12 mat ready. I used a roll of brown craft paper to put through the Cricut. It's easiest to start pressing it onto the mat when it is still connected to the roll. Then roll it to the edge. Fold the whole roll over to give you a crease to cut on. Be careful when removing the cut from the mat. You have very fragile pieces. You're going to glue the Cricut cutout to poster board. Cut a 4 by 24 inch rectangle out of each side of the poster board and approximately 4 by 5 inch area for the neck. Reinforce the corners where you'll attach elastic. Also round the edges so it doesn't cut into your neck. Glue the edges and parts of the flaps down. The brads will hold most of it in place, so you don't have to have it glued really heavily. You want the flaps to flap. That's what makes this have more dimension. To make 2 poster boards of armor, I cut out 4 12 by 24 sections of brown craft paper through the Cricut. I cut apart sections of those cuts and glued missing links across the sleeves and bottom of the armor. Trust me, nobody notices. Use a pointy object to stab holes in the center of the drawn rectangles. I used a meat thermometer. Use what you've got. Also, I used a sturdy cardboard box underneath my poster board. You could do it over foam or carpet. Put 1/2 inch brads in each hole. Now you totally have armor fit for a terracotta soldier, or just party guests. You can double-side it if you want, but my guests liked it just on their front. Now doesn't this armor just look so awesome? Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more party ideas.